Howdy, welcome to another week of Canon Calls. This week, I have the privilege of chatting with the minds behind the very popular satirical website, The Babylon Bee. If you enjoy what you hear, please subscribe to us anywhere you get podcasts and leave us a review. And lastly, if you're interested in hearing more about Cannonball Books, which is the fiction line that Ethan talks about in the episode that he's publishing with, find us at cannonballbooks.com. Without further ado, meet Kyle Mann and Ethan Nicolle. The Babylon Bee guys, welcome to Canon Calls. I appreciate you again coming on.
Hi.
There are two of you. Is this the entire squad?
No. Yeah. So Ethan and I are the only full-time employees of the Babylon Bee.
Okay.
So we do a lot of the work for it. We have a team of contributors that write part-time, and they have actual jobs that they also do. And so we have a really strong team of writers. But Ethan and I are the core of what we do here.
They make an honest living.
Yeah. The other guys just kind of throw jokes online at us while they're doing real work.
Yeah. So it was Kyle who just explained that. And then Ethan, Kyle Mann, Ethan Nicolle. So you guys are, as mentioned, a satirical website, a Christian website, I guess. You deal at least with Christian topics, etc. You guys are responsible for headlines like "Wife unaware that movie will answer all her questions if she just pays attention." CNN, our ratings are only tanking because Trump is killing off our viewers by the millions. And then Elizabeth Warren claims two men in colonial outfits assaulted her with smallpox-infested blankets.
I'm glad you're picking the non-controversial ones to talk about.
You know what I did was I just picked the trending part on your website and was like, what are the ones that are really getting around? And then I think it was yesterday, an op-ed, things in the White House are going tremendously by an anonymous president. So that's a little flavor of the kind of headlines that are coming out of the Babylon Bee. Do you mind just explaining to us who you guys are? And I think there's probably a lot of people that want to know kind of like what is wrong with you guys.
Yeah, we do have a little bit of a twisted sense of humor, I guess. Yeah, my story is not very exciting. I had a real job, like the real jobs we were talking about, for like a decade plus, and then just started writing for the Babylon Bee right when it launched. I just started emailing in articles, and then within a couple of years, I managed to quit my job and take over as the editor-in-chief. So Ethan's a little more exciting. He's got actual creative background.
Except for I've never had a real job. I've only had weird jobs that people like to have steady income, so they never take them. Or they don't do what it takes to like actually get weird, crazy jobs that you have for a little while, but like making cartoons and comic books and TV shows. So yeah, I've done comics. Axe Cop. I've actually got a book I'm going to be doing with Canon here, coming out here pretty soon.
Yes,
I think
sir.
in October.
Yes,
Excited.
sir.
It's probably my favorite thing ever made, and I make a lot of random stuff. But I've always loved the Babylon Bee. And I've always wanted some way to get my sense of humor out that is kind of, as an artist, and especially working in Hollywood, you kind of hide it. There's really no good avenue to get it out there without looking like a total jerk. But the Babylon Bee is a great way to do it because it's kind of semi-anonymous and the audience gets why you're doing it. And it's just not as aggressive as if I was just out there like on Twitter blasting out my thoughts. So enjoy it, and I enjoy the I enjoy the scope of humor that we do. It's from political all the way down to just kind of mundane, stupid dad jokes and whatever else we want to do. We can laugh about anything we want because Christian satire encapsulates all things because Christianity is true.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
Like that.
Yeah, Kyle, I wish you had brought something a little more like that. That would have been good.
Written, prepared statements here. So.
Yeah, I must say, I think it was the Father's Day picture that set the Canon office aflame, and we absolutely loved.
Oh, our dad diagram. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the dad diagram.
The dad diagram is
me and Ethan sat down and brainstormed a bunch of qualities of fathers.
Yeah.
And then he did the art for it. So.
Did you guys recently move to an office? I was going to say, I imagine the office is a fun place to be. Do you guys have an office? Like, what kind of operation are you guys running over there?
Yeah, well, we're glad you asked.
Yes.
Because we
just got one.
We've been working in a garage, which is like my board game room.
Yeah, so Kyle's garage. We live kind of halfway to Palm Springs. You know anything about Palm Springs?
From LA, not halfway from New York or something.
Yeah,
sure.
But if you know, like the further that direction you head, it gets so hot, people melt, and there's skeletons everywhere. We're out in that area where and there's no AC in the garage, so we'd sit in that garage, and we would die. Yeah, it's just so hot. And when we did the podcast, we'd have to close the door because of all the weed whackers and stuff outside.
Right, all those dads.
Yeah,
all the dads weed whacking
daddies.
Turn off the fans, and it was just like we just smelled as the podcast continued.
Or in a closed garage in 100-degree weather, trying to be all peppy.
Just coming up with killer headlines. I think the garage is sort of it kind of makes it's fitting, that it was just guys in a garage, sweating.
Garage, Amazon started in the garage, and now the Babylon Bee, the tech math. Megalodon. What's a big animal word?
Leviathan.
Yeah, they started in garages.
It's a literal creature. Just want to be clear.
Isn't there one that starts with M?
Megalodon.
Megalodon.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. That was created by Satan to test our faith.
I think.
I think a behemoth.
Yeah, behemoth that's not an M though.
Yeah.
Also, a quick question about the new office: is there or is there not like a miniature basketball goal?
We don't
nerds.
We don't. Yeah, if you've ever seen the lack of sports coverage on the Babylon Beats, I don't know anything about it. And so, if I ever do a joke about sports, I start Googling what is this sport?
Just
Wikipedia. What is the one with the pointy brown one with the white threads on it?
Yeah.
What is that one?
Okay, so you guys limit your basketball exposure to the trash can.
Yeah, we actually just walk over the trash and
I roll in my chair because I don't like walking to the trash can and then drop it directly.
Okay, so you guys are not originators, it sounds like, of the Babylon Bee, but you guys are now there kind of steering the ship. What is the history of the Babylon Bee?
Well, it was created 6,000 years ago in a literal 6 days. Adam Ford was a dude, or is a dude. We always act like he's dead.
He's still there. He's still alive. Yeah.
In memoriam.
He's he created the Babylon Bee. He was doing a kind of a reformed web comic for a long time, and then he started doing the Babylon Bee, and I started emailing in articles like the first day because he put out a call for authors.
Kyle's like a Adam Ford fanboy.
Yeah, and I was following him on Facebook and stuff, and so I just started writing for him. So I have been writing since the beginning, but yeah, Adam, the original owner, kind of moved on. He actually still owns a portion of the site, but and works with us and stuff, but he doesn't run it day to day anymore.
The Babylon Bee constantly gets emails like, "I have a great article for you guys." Kyle was the first.
Yeah,
it worked out for him. It doesn't work out for a lot of people.
Right. He was just...
Here's a free one for you.
He just wore him down eventually.
Yep.
It seems like an interesting time to run such a thing as Christian satire, or just satire that's about all the things. There are a couple of other major sites. You got The Onion has been doing it for quite a while.
Yeah, they knocked us off.
You guys have found yourselves in quite a feud of sorts. Like the guys in the garage are actually these like bad boys with their hats backwards, and like you're going around with bats knocking Snopes mailboxes over. It's kind of wild. Snopes, who is a fact checker, who I looked on their website, they say that they are, the mission is when misinformation obscures the truth and readers don't know what to trust. Snope.com's fact-checking and original investigative reporting they need a comma in there, lights the way to evidence-based and contextualized analysis. In your dealings with Snopes.com, would you say that their contextual analysis is I was going to use a sports metaphor, but just really good?
Slam dunk, a home run.
A slam dunk, yeah.
Home dunk.
a touchdown. Our Snopes is, it's kind of weird because to me a lot of the problem with Snopes is that they've come out of this place where they were fact checking these kind of easily debunked urban legends. You'd get the email from your grandma that Bill Gates was going to give you $1,000, and
Right.
it's pretty easy, even for kind of amateurs like the people that were running. And it was a message board, so it was just people posting back and forth, going, "Is this true? Oh no, that's not true."
Nigerian princes needing help.
Yeah, that's basically what they did. And then, around, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, they started shifting to current events and politics. And the system that they use really doesn't allow for any way for them to really fact check when people misunderstand a joke like satire. So they start using that same method of going, this is true and this is false. And then they start fact checking jokes. And it really comes off weird, like like you're making this joke that's obviously a joke. And yeah, some people get tricked because some people are dumb. But then they go, item by item and debunk your whole joke. And it's it just comes off as that really annoying guy at the party.
Who does like actually kind of, he starts all of his sentences with actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just to look, I searched the Snopes website and typed in the Babylon, in quotes, Babylon Bee, just to see how many times you guys have been at least talked about. And it's no less than 4 pages of articles dating back to like at least 2016. And some of these headlines, like
sight lunch.
they should be like writing for you guys. Like Joel Osteen apologizes for using Lord's name in sermon? ? Did Elevation Church debut a water slide baptismal? ?
Yes.
I mean, it's really like pages and pages. And if it's not like actually fact checking what you guys are doing, it's at least saying, one of my favorites was, and the Babylon Bee added to the confusion of this. It's really, really, really funny. Was Covefe a secret nuclear code? They fact checked that. And surprisingly, none of those came out to be true. So it sounds like they got your number.
Well, they used to say false. I think they've recategorized all of ours now after we complained, and they said it says labeled satire, which is still not a very good label because it suggests that we're just fake news, but we're saying we're satire, like it's ostensibly satire.
It's like categorizing Seinfeld and some annoying guy named Harold at a party who's like, and it's both labeled trying to be funny.
Yeah. Supposedly a joke.
Supposedly hilarious.
Yeah, and so that, I mean, you look back 2016, they fact checked us. We never complained because to us, it's almost like a commentary on reality. That these stories end up being something that someone thinks is true. Because reality is encroaching on our territory. But the thing is that they did a recent fact check where they, like you said, they said we're muddying the details of news in order to fool readers, and they called our site a ruse, which
you're kind of just like, I mean, yeah, kind of.
Yeah, and so there definitely seems to be some kind of an ideological slant or bias that is causing them to treat us differently than when they fact check, like The Onion or Borowitz Report or whatever.
Yeah, that was a fascinating thing that we realized later, right? We saw that they actually had tags on articles because they do fact check The Onion.
Okay.
That was the first time they really blatantly, that I noticed, where they really blatantly kind of accused us of trying to trick people, as if we're trying to stir things up and be fake news. They had actually categorized the Onion articles under something like jokes or funny or gags or something like that. Yeah. And we were categorized under junk news.
Wow.
So like news sites that are trying to fool people, because there are sites like today, an article went up that Snopes used to try to show, to legitimize their labeled satire label that they use now.
Right.
It was an article that said Kevin Hart paralyzed in car crash, which they just, a real event that he was hurt severely in a car crash, and they just said he was paralyzed, so everybody would click on it like, what?
Right.
And it's like acted like being a fake article, like there's no joke in there, but in small print on this website it says
classic joke,
this is a satire site. So they've abused the term satire, and now everybody who is satire has to go on Snopes, gets under that lowest common denominator of labeled satire.
Yeah, it is interesting.
And jokes.
I'm curious as to, like, they kind of make you out to be like insidious dark figures, but really you're just like fun guys in a garage.
Well, that's what was so funny to us is that we're just, we wake up in the morning, we're not really sure what the articles are going to be.
Mhm.
We're sitting at the keyboard and we're like, oh, that would be funny.
Yeah.
We throw it out, and then
Literally all there is to it.
we're a couple of guys sweating in a garage, and there's like a massive team of fact checkers like trying to counteract our attacks on democracy, or something weird.
The Snopes thing, as funny as it is, it's kind of stepped up recently, right? And I think it was the Chick-fil-A. It was the lady that said a guy, I think some Italian guy or something, told her to go back to where she was from, and you guys used it with Chick-fil-A somehow, and that's really, it seemed like it kind of changed the game a little bit, where you kind of talked about it with the junk science, not just a gag. How did that change, like how you guys approached the Snopes thing?
Yeah, that was the one that I was mentioning before, where I said that that's where they all of a sudden had this crazy shift, where it went from, oh, this is just a joke, to these guys are spreading fake news maliciously, attempting to deceive readers, was the gist of it. And yeah, I mean, we've kind of hit Snopes on our site before, like we've made fun of them a little bit. It's generally pretty lighthearted. We just kind of made fun of them for
Just funny. It's just funny calling a joke false.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny to us. It's not necessarily like we're saying that.
Like, we totally get that. We need, like, the internet does need a Snopes. Like,
right.
Like, I've used them many times when somebody's sharing, like, can you believe this mother is twisting this baby's head at 360 degrees? And I'm like, Snopes, it's a video of a doll. It's not real or whatever, Those kinds of things are great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the question for us isn't necessarily like, should jokes be fact checked? Yeah, obviously people get
tricked.
But it's like Snopes, has set themselves up as they call themselves, like an independent fact checker.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives this impression that there are a bunch of like robots sitting there going, like objectively determining what's true and false. And that's obviously not the case. They've singled us out. And it's shortly after that Chick-fil-A one, they published this crazy study that would seem to be performed very poorly.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was a study that was trying to say that people get fooled by satire a lot. And that may be true. But
sure.
the study was done so badly, and it was basically designed to target us,
to get the results they wanted. Yeah.
Yeah. So they paraphrased our jokes, took the funny parts out of them,
mm-hmm.
and then read them to people and said, "Do you think this is real?"
Yeah.
And then and they were surprised that
it wasn't shown on a website with a funny photo or anything. It was just like they read it, a dried up version of a joke. It's just a very strange way to do it.
Yeah, and then when they posted it, they didn't do the study like Ohio State University or something did the study. But when they posted it on when Snopes posted it on social media, they called us out specifically and said Babylon Bee is sharing, some of the most shared, factually inaccurate content on the internet. And it's like this study that's supposed to be broad about various types of satire, and it's like they had it in for us all of a sudden.
Yeah, it does seem to call into question the contextualized analysis, seeing as that's the entire point of what you guys do. Super funny.
So after the whole Russian collusion thing was blown up by the Mueller report, we did this article that said the nation awaits apology from media that pushed fake news story for years. And it's just kind of this article that's supposed to capture the zeitgeist of like,
totally,
like the media will never apologize.
Yeah, everybody's waiting, everybody's holding their breath, and then the way that they summarized it to try to see if people were fooled by it or something was like, just it completely missed that element of the holding your breath.
Right.
It was like a majority of Americans believe that the media should apologize. And like that's not what that's not what the article was, that is not what the article ever claimed.
Yeah.
So obviously they remove a lot of the jokes and the things that make it Christian satire. Like we'll put obvious parallels to religion and Christianity within our jokes and our articles, and they'll remove all that and just throw like a quote out at somebody. It's really weird.
I'm curious go ahead.
Oh, I do think a large part of it is they don't get the joke. And they come into it. They can't understand how we could joke about certain things, and they think there must be some nefarious plot here. Like they just can't from the way their worldview. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's like these people are not leftists and they're being funny.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know.
That can't be the motivation. They have to be. Well, I think they see jokes as tools for progress and change. They don't see jokes as just jokes, like that. You're having fun and laughing is the point of humor. Like even in the entertainment industry, you notice, people higher up in animation and in TV, there are a lot of them who are social justice warriors. Like they see these things as tools for change of society. So if you're using these to poke fun in the wrong direction,
Right.
they're offended by that. So when they see someone making a joke, they think you must be using your joke for bad because we're using our jokes for good. They can't see it in any other context.
Yeah, with great humor comes great responsibility.
What's been funny is that you guys have been, it seems like catapulted into a level of, that this is like on a level of feud. Obviously you guys are having a blast and being cheerful and joking and the rest, but I think, let me see, the Washington Examiner, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Daily Wire, David French wrote about it. It's definitely getting the attention of mainstream news.
It's been the best thing that's happened to us, I'm pretty sure. It's been great for the website.
I'm sure it is, 100%.
Yeah, the real concern, obviously we're enjoying the wave of popularity and it's kind of stepped us up to a new level of recognition. But the real concern for us is, that wave of traffic comes, but it goes away as it does. That always happens. You get a spike of popularity.
Right.
But then if we start, if Snopes continues to single us out like this, it's possible that, we get deplatformed at some point because all social media sites and big tech are really concerned about fake news. It's like the biggest issue for them.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that big of a problem. They think it's this huge problem. So if you get labeled under junk news by sites like Snopes that are seen as independent fact checkers, you can get demonetized and deplatformed. That's what happened. That literally happened to us. We got threatened with demonetization by Facebook because of Snopes attacks.
Yeah. So this new category for you guys from Snopes isn't more or less. It is funny that they have gone at this level, but as far as ramifications for you guys, it can be serious.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, a year ago, we wrote an article saying that CNN bought a giant washing machine to spin the news in. I can hardly say it without laughing because it's such a stupid. It's such a stupid joke.
I didn't even think it would. I didn't think we'd ever see it again. I was like, it's so dumb. We'll see it for a day. Yeah.
I wrote the article.
I'm insulting.
I was sitting down and I'm just like, I'm all out of ideas.
Yeah, it's like a dad joke.
Well, I guess CNN is spinning the news in a washing machine. Yeah. And like the next day, Snopes fact checks it. It says, the CNN. We can't find any receipts that CNN purchased a big washing machine.
This is false.
I love Frank Fleming, one of our writers, said, I would love to meet just one person. If they could produce one person that was fooled by that headline. I really want to meet them.
So
selling beachfront property somewhere in Missouri or something.
Yeah. So the next day we get an email we get a notification from Facebook saying, your reach is about to be reduced because of this article, because an independent fact checker has found it to be false.
It's unreal.
And anybody sharing it got a link saying, would you like to share this article or would you like to go to Snopes.com instead?
Oh my gosh.
It's just like these independent fact checkers, have an ulterior motive to fact check as much stuff as they want because they get more traffic because of it.
It is interesting when you said that it's kind of like they see this as an ideological war. And I do think this might be somewhere where sort of the enemy is a bit more shrewd than generally we are, where I think the discipleship by laugh track that's gone on in entertainment has been hugely successful, and I think they know that. So if you see what is the joke from general, whether it's sitcoms or not, what is being laughed at, what are the jokes, and them sort of training you, when do you laugh, and then who is the corn pone.
Right.
What kinds of things are hilarious to the laugh track? I think as silly as it is and as scary as, some of the ramifications are, I think they might be shrewder than us on that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we've seen, that we're kind of these popular comics who are making fun of the left. for years, the religious right, that was the butt of all the jokes on all the sitcoms and stuff.
Right.
Because they took themselves so dang seriously.
Right.
They were really easy for these sitcom characters or comedians to poke at, and and then the you get the fundamentalist guys kind of folding their arms and glaring, and that's not funny,
Yeah, Drew Carey's old church lady.
Right.
And now that's the left.
Yeah.
The left are now the ones who are sitting there grumpy, folding their arms, saying that's not funny, and they don't know what to do. They're lost because someone's actually making fun of them.
Yeah, we'll say that I think what you guys are up to is actually one of the more potent tools, if for whatever people would like to call them in the culture wars or what have you. I really do think this sort of thing is really, really potent, and I hope, like I said, you guys have gotten a spike in popularity, and I hope it continues because, like you said, it's being unfunny, not being able to laugh at yourself, unplayful. That is the way you lose, and I think you guys are right. The old religious right did that move, and not that they should have laughed at things that were blasphemous or unfunny, but
Right.
at least not being able to return a joke or tit for tat. I know just from getting to know Ethan and his social media as of late that you guys are really into Chesterton.
Oh yeah,
And
I'm dropping Chesterton like mad.
And he seems to me to be one of the kings of, as far as just what it means to go fight and be winsome about it and be funny about it and be enjoyable about it. And so, like I said, I've really enjoyed that aspect of what you guys are up to.
Yeah. Hey, Ethan, do you want to talk about Chesterton for a while?
Anytime I get any comparison to Chesterton, I'm just like,
yeah, you've made his day. He's
thank
smiling
you.
so he's turning red, more red than usual.
Yeah, I'm kind of a big tomato as it is.
Bob the Tomato
With a beard.
character.
Yeah, that's a VeggieTales character for all you people that listen to this that don't know that, and three people that don't know that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think this audience is going to have that reference on lock. So
that's the one cartoon they're allowed to watch.
Yeah.
I assume there are some maybe of that old religious right that would want to know if what you guys are up to is a Christian endeavor. Like, I assume you guys go to church and are taking communion. You're not in church discipline, hopefully, but how are you able to do what you do and still go to church? Do you see these things do you see what you do as a Christian endeavor?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Our site is explicitly a Christian site, and obviously we've gotten some attention for our political material. But, I think it's really important that we also use satire to help Christians distinguish, what the gospel is from what our cultural traditions are. And that was the heart of what we started doing. And I still, think that we try to do that. I think, like you were saying about the religious right or, fundamentalists or, hardcore Christians shouldn't necessarily laugh about things that are, true. They shouldn't laugh at blasphemy. But what satire does is it helps to distinguish what's true from what's just a cultural trapping that we've added onto the gospel. So I think Christianity going through the 1950s and 1960s kind of started adding on all of these cultural things that you have to do to be considered Christian. And so for us, we did an article saying that that archaeologists found Jesus's suit, that he wore while he was preaching. And that's the kind of thing where people can kind of, that's the kind of joke that fundamentalists would have glared at, years ago. Oh, that's not funny. But it's the kind of thing that now I think Christians can kind of chuckle at and say, oh, that is funny that we kind of think of that as being necessary for being a Christian.
Or just our constant jokes that Chick-fil-A is somehow the Holy Spirit's chicken sandwich.
Yeah, that's my favorite stuff, is when you can take something and show that this is a sacred cow.
Yeah.
And we can kind of chuckle about it. I don't know. Ethan, are you under church discipline? I'm not under church discipline.
No, I'm like a rock star. I walk into church, they all lift me up on their shoulders, and they're like, "Oh man, you're so funny." Just kidding, no. It's not true.
They're just asking you to guest preach,
Yeah. No, they're fascinated by it. There's just like a handful of people that know about it, and a few that even smaller that are fans of it. And but yeah, my pastor will ask me about it now and then. I just feel like I'm being watched. Like they know I'm coming up with jokes as I sit there every service. I always
just antsy, nervous that you're gonna troll them.
Yeah.
Your pastor's a woman, right?
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm trying to get you canceled.
Yeah, you will get canceled.
Well, since you asked.
So what? So you guys recently started a podcast.
Can you?
So what? Tell us about that.
It's a satire of podcasts. No, it's not.
Everybody's just like,
pretty
is
normal.
it true? Is it false? I don't know.
It's like this exactly that you're listening to right now, except there's no Jake.
Okay. Oh wow. And even that part, we'll leave it up to the people. Like, we'll just see what
guys know.
We'll just see what they want.
Really insulting. I did not mean to sound that way. But we have guests on too. But we just go into. We usually pick a main topic. We done where we talk about youth group. We'll talk about being politically homeless. We'll have guests on all sorts of different ones. We had Kevin Max from DC talk about old times in the Christian music scene. So we try to find things that are kind of thematically with what the Babylon Bee covers, but it's a fun podcast where we do joke a lot, but it's not like a fake news show with headlines. It's just discussion. It's a little bit more like behind the scenes. It's a different flavor.
Yeah, it's supposed to feel like you're sitting down in the writer's room at the Babylon Bee. If we had a writer's room, that would be
the writer's portion of the garage.
So we'll go through a few of the stories of the week, talk about the motivation for writing it, some of the jokes around it, what we're joking about, So it's a little more of if you're a fan of the Babylon Bee and have always been curious to get to know the writers better, see what goes on in our weird brains. It's just it's that, and it's also I think I've always wanted a funny Christian podcast that isn't, or even conservative podcast that isn't mean spirited, or that isn't too lighthearted, where it's like there's like Christian humor has very bound into a tiny box of very soft jokes.
Worship leaders, am I right?
Conservative, yeah. Or you do the conservatives that are super snarky and mean all the time. And so we're trying to that middle of the road where we have a wider box of jokes we tell, but we also we take our faith seriously. We don't just interview Christians, though. We have all sorts of people on. So anyway, I think we're both pretty proud of it. It's been we're only like 13 episodes in, so we're learning as we go.
I know it like skyrocketed the day you guys put it out.
Yeah, it was wild. We beat out Joel Osteen for a day or two there,
which is I think just the Lord's work.
That's right.
I mean, not quite as big as this podcast, but I mean, you guys, I think will in time get there for sure.
Yeah, one day.
Yeah, I do think I think conservatives especially have been definitely guilty of sort of a shrill tone, whether they're joking or not, that just sort of leaves you like, I just gotta shower or something. It's just not, you don't like it. You don't want to be like that person. And so, like I said, going back to the winsomeness aspect, I think you guys are killing the game.
Chesterton.
There it is. See, it's right back.
We'd appreciate it if you compare us to Chesterton again.
Yeah, G.K. Chesterton. When did you start listening, or when did you start reading Chesterton? When did you start reading Chesterton?
I was actually in a pretty dark place when I started listening to Chesterton or reading Chesterton. I was it was kind of after I had been in a band and I didn't have much work. I was pretty broke. I didn't know what was next in my life. I was living in Oregon, and I'd always meant to read him. He'd always been quoted in everything, and I was like, I got to read that guy. I read C.S. Lewis. Finally, one day I read him, and it was like one of those few times where you're reading a book, and he was talking about wonder, a very simple concept of just seeing wonder in very small things. And it really kind of blew my mind, had a big impact on me. And when I moved to California, I started a group of Chesterton readers with my friend Doug Tenaple, guy that created Earthworm Jim, and a bunch of other artists, guys who work in Hollywood who are kind of like closeted Christian conservative guys who are in the arts. And we started reading Chesterton every Sunday together. And so we got through a ton of his books, and it was a really fun time. Sounds totally nerdy, but it was a blast. The group got so big we had to just cut it off. We got so many people wanting to come, and it was really one of the coolest experiences of my life, having that group every Sunday.
That's really awesome. Who did somebody give him to you?
No, I just I ordered it off Amazon, one of those cheap, because Chesterton is all public domain now, pretty much. So
yeah.
You buy a Chesterton book off of Amazon, and it's somebody printed out some like clip art of something that has nothing to do with what the book actually is about.
Right.
A basketball,
like a picture of an airplane or it's high fiving.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I recently got an edition of The Abolition of Man by C.S. Lewis, and on the cover was a dog with like clothes on. He had like a scarf and a hat. And it was like, what the heck is this? So anyway, if you want to use that content, you don't have to put my name on it. You can just put it.
That's a free one for you.
Chesterton's book called "What Is Wrong with the World."
Right.
And the book is about how we are like our sin, and stuff like that, and our desire to be gods. But the cover that my friend got when we read it was a picture of pollution. It showed image like a factory blasting spumes into the air.
It's just like, I know precisely what this guy's talking about. It's pollution.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't got to read this. I know.
Yeah. Okay. So Chesterton's obviously a major influence. You talked about Doug TenNapel coming to your group. You guys are friends, right?
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine.
We had him out last year or maybe 2 years ago, and we had a blast. Doug TenNapel is the man.
Yeah, he's actually a quick plug here. Me and Doug and Mike Nelson from Mystery Science Theater have another podcast called Audio Mullet. And if you ever want to hear us talking about our faith and views, it's kind of like about how like we hold a lot of views that are out of fashion, like a mullet, which is a hairdo,
right?
And how we rock it. We rock those views. And so yeah, check it out.
I will say, as much as you guys are under fire, usually.
Am I okay to?
You can promote that. You're good,
Kyle.
As much as you guys are under fire, usually it seems like Doug TenNapel's Twitter is like he is always under fire.
He's like a guy with a Tommy gun. He's like that guy with the Tommy gun on Home Alone in that movie. On Twitter, just constant. Just blasting away.
As the editor of the Babylon Bee, I've got to be real careful. I'm thinking, we'll do jokes that are like, I know it's going to be like a hand grenade and everyone's going to freak out. But I got to decide, like, when is it worth it? When is it not worth it? And I don't think Doug has that gene.
So I think there's two claims there. One, you're saying that you are utilizing discernment as editor of Babylon Bee.
I'm trying to, yeah.
And then you're not quite sure that Doug TenNapel has it.
I love you, Doug. I'm glad there are people like that, because I think that's a very like, I don't know, it's almost a Chestertonian thing where he would say things and you're like, whoa, I was going to post a Chesterton quote, and I was like, man, I might get banned from Twitter for this. He said something about it's a pity how few politicians are hanged.
Oh yes.
And I'm like, I love this quote, and I'm like, this might be against the terms of service.
It just might be.
I think there's a place for people like that who are those firecrackers, and the Babylon Bee does that sometimes, but we have to be careful. We have to pick our battles,
Sure.
Because I think if you're screaming all the time, it's not as powerful, But if you're able to do these jokes of a wide range of topics, and then you're able to pick, okay, we're gonna go all in, we're gonna go Rambo on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes it more powerful.
Canon Press, we liken ourselves to. We at times can really turn up the heat, depending on the topic, and we've chosen November to be a particular time of the year where there's no qualifications. At least.
What do you call no quarter November?
Yes, sir. So one of the great parts was the very first blog, the very first sentence. He quoted H.L. Mencken when he said that there's no problems in the public school system that can't be solved by burning all the schools and hanging all the teachers. And the FBI showed up 3 weeks later and had a chat. So that was, we thought, wow, this is, we didn't get Snopes, but we thought, the FBI showed up. So.
Would you say you guys are being a bit of a loose cannon?
You're able to edit it.
That is the kind of, that is the red meat that you will find on this site. But what's that?
So edit in some crickets, maybe.
Yeah, that we should do that. And as Ethan said earlier, we are going to be speaking, if there's another pun available here, for Canon Ball Books, the fiction line, fiction imprint at Canon Press, Ollie Possum.
Yeah. And I had a ball writing it.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It just continues. And I think, Kyle, you were on the receiving end of a package that exploded from me.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I got one of those deranged packages from a deranged person who's trying to send explosives through the mail.
Oh,
and
man.
But it was just spaghetti sauce, not a bomb.
It's lasagna sauce.
It's like the most
Well,
delicious of
I haven't eaten mine because I'm holding on to it because it's like a memory. So I
Yes.
don't know how that'll last.
Yeah, so we to go with Ethan's book, we put together like a marketing package, and we kind of went all out with like we made a one sheet, a menu item, which one of his characters has an Italian restaurant, and so we made his one sheet, you know, all the information out of the book. We put it on the menu, and we sent out some pasta sauce, I guess, with a new label on it and everything else, and we sent it to. And man, Ethan, your list was super impressive. To folks that Ethan would love to have blurb his book. And now I sit like at night, like one of those last, either in the shower, you know, the last thing you think about before you go to sleep of like, how many of their boxes exploded? And will this affect the reviews?
I didn't know you guys were going to do that. I had no idea and I didn't even know I was going to be getting a book at that time.
Right.
I'd almost forgotten that it existed because it had been so long. And suddenly in the mail, I get this. The first thing I pull out is the pasta sauce. I'm like, I'm looking at it, I'm going, what is this? And I realized like that's a character that I drew. Pasta sauce. And I was so confused. But yeah, it was so cool. I started, you know, there's a menu and then the book. It's really rewarding when you've written a book to suddenly hold it in your hands and realize how many pages were actually in it.
It's a big book.
Yeah, I'm like, holy cow, I wrote this. And I drew all those pictures. But yeah, it's pretty exciting.
You should have sent a possum.
Yeah. I would love to team up with those people. Like there's those companies that have possums that like raise possums and you can pet them and stuff. And I'll just do like book signings with a possum you can pet.
The marketing opportunities are endless here.
Yeah.
We hope, maybe we do an apron, you know? But yeah, look for that. November release. Or no, October. End of October.
Yeah, because it's a Halloween. It's very Halloween themed.
Yes.
But yeah, we sent one to Kyle because we wanted him to endorse it. So I think he may have liked it. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Well,
hard to read him.
I really liked the $100 bill you guys slipped in the
in the sauce when you pour the sauce out.
Yeah, that's right.
To wash it off. Yeah. But no, I read the book. I read it in like 2 hours or something, which I read fast, but that one, it was super easy to read. And
I wrote it in 2 years. He read it in 2 hours.
So good job spending 2 years of your life on something that I just read in 2 hours. I read it on a plane, and I love how fiction you can communicate Christian values and a Christian worldview in a way that's not like beating you over the head with it.
Sure.
You know. And there's things in there about, you know, family and sacrifice, and I think and bravery, you know, that are really important for kids to learn and for anybody really. I love. I know it's like nerdy to like sci-fi and fantasy and like and to read kids books and stuff, but I do that all the time. I'm always reading, you know, H.G. Wells and Verne, and I love that. So anyway, if I can just plug Ethan's book for a second.
We really appreciate that, and more money is on the way. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, you won't get the nerd accusation, at least over here. We're definitely.
I mean,
he is mean to me. Makes fun of Star Wars t-shirts and stuff.
You know, and maybe that is worth being made fun of. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for your time, and go. So you guys are obviously at the Babylon Bee. Ethan, you've got several other books. Anything you want to plug?
We did a lot of plugging. I'm pretty happy with the amount of plugging that we've done here.
Okay. Do you just not want to talk about that Bears Want to Kill You?
Oh yeah, I have that book.
Do you have any more though?
Well, yeah. The weird thing is that I'm almost out of them, so I guess that's why I'm not plugging it as much anymore. I do want to do a second printing, but I have to come up with money.
Are we gonna have to drive to LAX again and pick up?
He helped me
from this weird
pick up the 2
from the CD warehouse.
Yeah,
we already did that.
Nobody helps you move, but Kyle's like one of those nice guys who I'm like, hey, I got to move a bunch of stuff. I got to drive really far. He's like, I guess after nobody commented, he's like, I'll help you.
Yeah.
I did not comment like that. I said, I'll help you.
He's much more cheerful about it. Awesome. Kyle, anything you're doing? What are you up to?
Sorry. Yeah. And that Bears Want to Kill You's on Amazon. You can search that and
Ethan,
you'll find it.
It's my turn.
It's now Kyle's turn. Sorry.
It's my turn to plug.
It's a great book.
No, I don't have anything to plug, but BabylonB.com. We do have subscriptions that help support us in the face of stuff from Snopes and that kind of opposition. So if anybody wants to help support us, we always appreciate it.
Some of your readers might like this T-shirt that I drew that's on our store. It's like Mount Rushmore, but it's got like Chesterton and C.S. Lewis and Tolkien and
Mount Rightmore.
Yeah,
that's right. You guys do have a store now. Is the dad shirt in there? Isn't that the dad?
Yep, that shirt's in there.
I mean,
one of our top sellers, man.
It's a must-have. It's a must-have.
I got it for my dad.
Oh, nice. So Father's Day's, nowhere near, but it's, no better time than to start planning months out.
Yes.
Every Father's Day in the patriarchy.
That's right.
So true. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.